Hey guys, how are you? Week 2, lesson 2, and we are going to get right into it. Kim Gelty-Gorski here, and I am so honored to come to you for a second week because this one is vital. Vital, 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 and if I can really attest a lot of my success in my career, my relationships, my finances, my everyday life is because of this lesson right here. So we are going to focus on the power of your thoughts. So I want you to get into that space where you have some quiet time. So if you're in your car, you are in a room where you can really start to journal and really feel this out, get there. Because this is where we're going to have to give you this little protective space. Because your thoughts are just that, a space where you need to protect. And you've probably heard it before where you got to protect your thoughts and be positive and all these things, and that's great. It's awesome. But it's not great? Not getting there. Feeling like you're still in the past, feeling those power of those past beliefs that are just taking over your thoughts. And then before the day even begins, not working out. Throughout the day, no way. And then really ending that day with, wow, where am I? Where am I checking in on this? So the value of your thoughts is that we look at this as such a kind of a minute thing, but yet this is literally our daily thing. This is all we can do right now. So many thoughts are coming through your brain, and there's an average of 50,000 thoughts a day that we have. 50,000. So if we are not putting a lot of stock and a lot of time and a lot of attention on our thoughts, man, where are we spending it? Are we spending it on what we want to do? Or are we spending on what we don't want to do? That's important. Because where we spend our thoughts, that's where our attention goes. So if our minds are in turmoil, and if our minds are in that negative state, we're going there. You really have no control. And that's why I say to people that it's really not your fault. But what is your responsibility is now to take it to that next step. Is now how to shift it. Because what is going to happen for you is either you're going to stay where you're at in that negative state, or are you going to shift to that positive state where it is so undescribable of why in a hard situation, you're always thinking positive. You're always thinking forward. You're always thinking of how can I make this better opposed to sitting in it. And this is something that, like I said before, I can attest to a ton of my success because I've been able to shift from extreme pessimist mindset to a very, very consistent optimistic mindset. It didn't happen overnight, but it did happen with lessons just like this. So imagine this. Imagine what your life would look like if you reverse the pattern. So that pattern of thinking, and spend most of your thoughts on improving your future. I'm going to repeat that. Imagine what your life would be if you reverse the pattern and spent most of your thoughts on improving your future. What? What do you mean? I spend most of my thoughts in the past and what someone said to me and how I'm going to feel because of past experiences and how the now just really sucks. Yeah, that's really where a lot of us are. Instead, let's go into that mindset of you are successful, and this is what successful people do. And so how do we do that? First is we're going to go over quite a bit today, but the worksheets are going to really help you with this piece right here. You're going to want to check in yourself with regularly to be able to see where you are spending most of your thoughts. And I have an amazing worksheet for you to really do this. And this worksheet is going to be designed for you to go through the whole alphabet, A through Z. So it's going to be kind of hard when you're thinking about that Z, but A through Z of what comes to mind positively when you think of that letter. You know, when I think about going through this exercise and how much it's lightened up my life, that is where we are going to shift that pattern, because it's all about those little shifts. Tweak, 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 and boom, you are going forward with this positive thinking. Your thoughts are so freaking on fire that you even have to brush off your shoulder. Mm-hmm. Yes, sister. So that is where we're going to check in on ourselves. This worksheet we're going to do today is going to be fantastic for this. And then you're also going to have another worksheet where you're going to be able to do that shifting, big shift, and see it on paper. See you actually exercise it. So we exercise with our health and fitness. We, do a nutrition plan. We do a workout, but why aren't we doing this with our thoughts? The 50,000 of them that are coming through. So I had a thought right before I pressed play. My thought was, man, Kim, I don't think you know enough about this. Past thinking. And then I said quickly, but you're learning with them. You're teaching as you go. Your thoughts have changed. How do they change? Now go share it. Positive, forward thinking. And that is where we're going to go from surviving to thriving. It's the whole mission of these 12 weeks of how you're not going to just survive, because that's just here. We're breathing. We're above ground. Hallelujah. But we're going to thrive. We're going to take it to another level where you are going to have all these tools, all these resources to be like, bam, sister, I'm feeling good every day. And on the days that aren't, I'm going to switch it. Because I always kid that it's not always butterflies and sunshines. Agreed. But you know what is always butterflies and sunshines? Majority of my thoughts. Regardless if I'm going through a hard time in my marriage, in my career, in my relationships, in my finances, in my life, I am thinking forward. So let's take a concept that is really great to really start this kind of forward thinking. So it's called priming. So what priming is where your focus goes. So take, for example, you want to get you want to get a new car. So you're like, oh my God, I really want this white Lexus SUV. I'm like obsessed with it. Love it. Oh my God. It's so exciting. It's weird. I've always wanted this specific white Lexus. As a 10-year-old, maybe 12. I was a little bit more cognitive then. And I'm still thinking about it. So I always see it. And why do I always see it? It's because my thinking's going there. So now let's take, for example, you're in a hard situation. You're always thinking about how it's not going to get better, how the other person has to get better before you do, not cognitively, subconsciously. So you're thinking of all these things in all these negative ways. What if we focused it now on a positive? So we prime our minds to say, you know what? I'm going through a hard time right now. How can I really shift this? Because all my thoughts are going there. All 50,000 of them seem to be going there. Now let's focus on something positive. I love this example I saw about how a woman was going through a really hard time, recent divorce, son was suicidal and in drugs. All these things were just negative, and consuming her, rightfully so, hard stuff. And if she wasn't talking about that situation, she was talking about something negative that she heard on the news, something negative that she heard, through the grapevines. Nothing positive was coming through because she wasn't priming herself. And so the person that suggested to her said, hey, what if we now look at it? Okay, every time that you see someone smiling, let's focus on that. Go out there and focus on everyone that's smiling. Sounds crazy hooky, but oh my gosh, when I see a girl smiling on a social media, when I see someone outside smiling, someone in my path on my journeys, at the mall or anywhere, man, doesn't that make you feel better? Because you're shifting your thinking. You're shifting it on something of how can I focus on a positive out there? opposed to being in it all the time. You feel you have to be in it because that's your reality. But guess what? Do you have to do all 50,000 of those thoughts every day? No. It doesn't mean like you're neglecting what you're going through, but what it does mean is that you're giving yourself that ease and your thought process to go forward. Because what's happening right now is that you're not able to go forward. Because if you're focusing the majority of your thinking on the wanted aspect in your situation, you're going to feel more positive than negative about it. I'm going to repeat that again. If you're focusing the majority of your thinking on the wanting aspect of a situation, you will feel more positive than negative about it. So I want to have a better relationship with my mom. I want to have a more successful career. I want to be more in love with myself. Instead of, man, she's never going to feel that way. She's never going to be positive. She's never going to be the person that I wanted. I'm never going to be able to get to that piece in my career. It's too hard. There's so many freaking variables to get to there. And I just have hated myself for so long. I can't think like this. It's too hard. I'm in hell. Agreed. But if you go to the wanted piece of where you want the situation to go, where you want to be forward, that's where it's going to shift for you. A huge shift in not only the way that you look at life, but the way that you look at yourself. So there's so much value in this. And I can't repeat this enough. 50,000 of your thoughts per day. Per day. Not week, not month, not year. Per day. So this is where the work happens. This is where the work needs to go. Because we're about to embark on a change factor. But we can't change unless our thoughts change. And I've shared with you guys a bit about my huge philosophy on enabling versus empathy. I have a ton of empathy for you guys. A ton. Why? I've been there. Worse, maybe not worse. But what I can say is that when I enable you to say, hey, you got to be there, you got to live it all the time, that is not getting you to forward thinking. That is not getting you out of that mindset. So the empathy will always be there for you. But we need to evolve and we need to go forward. And I want to talk about this concept that I learned really recently is about Pollyanna. And so the Pollyanna, like, I didn't play this game growing up. So I just think it's really interesting how, the Pollyanna is considered this like, happy-go-lucky kind of doll. But she actually was poor. And she had rugged clothes. And she was not always in the best situations. But what Pollyanna did is that she looked at every wanted aspect in her situations, and she was glad about it, no matter how difficult it was. So she didn't have a lot to stand on. She had rugged clothes and was always in different situations and was poor. But she looked at every situation that she wanted with forward thinking, no matter how difficult it may seem, no matter how hard it is for you to potentially get through it. That is where, when you're feeling down, think about that. Think about that game. Think about how she has evolved, and she has been that staple in decades of how to think more positively. So when we think about the thoughts, how can we grow into them? Because that's really what's happening right now. We're growing into our thoughts. And that's with paying attention to it. And we're going to do a worksheet where you're paying attention to your thoughts, where how you're thinking when you wake up and where you're thinking when you go to bed. Oh, this one's so exciting. because I check in with myself every morning and check in with myself every night. Where am I going? What am I thinking? Where is this evolving? Because this is where you start to grow within those thoughts. Because what you want from life, you got to grow into it. To thrive, you got to grow into it. This is not an overnight success. This is not something that you do with a click of a hands, because guess what? Either was those negative thoughts. That was over time. That was learned. Maybe not what you wanted to learn, but guess what? Now we're learning. We're going forward. We're growing into them. Because what we're going to do is we're going to learn to redirect your thinking away from what you don't want and towards any topic that makes you feel better. Feel better. Go towards more things that make you feel better. That is where we start to grow. Why are we going towards so many things that don't feel good? Why? And it's because of our past. It's because of those unwanted situations. It's because that we have stopped those 50,000 thoughts to even think that we can go forward. Because the way that you make yourself feel better is going to immediately improve your mood. Immediately. So you're on here right now. I'm making you feel better. I'm not trying to stick you in the past. I'm not trying to tell you that you're not enough. I'm not trying to tell you that, your luck is out. What I'm trying to tell you, and what I am telling you, is that I want you to go towards something that makes you feel better. Because you're going to now have in your purse, in your possession, in your heart, in your mind, in your thoughts, in your day, in your life, positive items that you can have everywhere with you. And you're going to be able to pull them out whenever you need them. So when I'm going through a hard time with my marriage, I'm able to pull out different thoughts. I love my husband. I know he wants to work on this. But I could easily be like, he's an asshole. He's a jerk. He never listens to me. When is this ever going to end? Oh, and sister has done that. But guess what? I wasn't going towards what made me feel better. Does this mean that I'm always happy? No. But this means that I can always take out of that positive purse that's going to fuel me wherever I need it. Because when you are in an unwanted situation, which is those negative thoughts, I can't do this, why is he being a jerk, all these things, spend your thoughts on creating a point B place of improvement that you can work towards. So point A is, man, he never freaking listens to me. This is so annoying. Why is he such a jerk? Can't he just be the person I want him to be? Instead of thinking that, I'm going to go to point B, the place of improvement. I know he loves me. I know he's trying his hardest. I'm excited for us to have this breakthrough. That's a point B. And that takes a lot of mental maturity. And you guys are getting there. Because it's so easy for us to go to those unwanted thoughts, those unwanted situations. Why? That's our reality. But we're changing our reality. We're changing what we are going to be, not only that bigger person, but the person that is sharing this with our own selves to be able to share with others. Because this is where it feels better. This is where most people don't live, but you are. You're going to be here. You're almost there. Why? Because you tuned in. Why? Because you're doing the work. Why? Because you're worth it. Take this time to really be able to digest this all. You got a couple worksheets coming your way, and it's going to be groundbreaking to how you're going to be able to go forward.